Hey, everybody. It's Kevin Davidson, your host for Kevin's Corner, real estate from a marketing perspective. This is episode number 43, and I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. We're getting up there in episodes, and I always start up my podcast the same way by saying, first of all, if you see the podcast and you are a real estate agent or a vendor that operates in the Fort Bend County area and you want to be on the podcast, give me a call, 832-654-0527. Or if you want to email me at kevin.davidson@stewart.com, and I'll be happy to put you on the calendar. I'm booked out for a few months, but I can eventually get you on. And at the same time, I also want to thank Jennifer Smitis, who is the area vice president, for whom, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to do this podcast. And at the same time, Caitlin Kornick and Devin, the escrow officers, and the staff at Sugarland, and then Wendy Santana and Adriana Ozalte, the escrow officers, and the rest of the staff in the Richmond office. And if you're not using Stewart Title for title, shame on you.
Shame on you.
Shame on you. So let's get the podcast started, episode number 43. If you are in real estate in the Fort Bend County area and you don't know who this is, I don't know what to tell you.
Shame on you.
Shame on you. So this is Saleta Patterson. I'll let you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. My name is Saleta Patterson. I'm with Walzel Properties. I've been a realtor for 4 years now. My specialty would be new construction home. I love having new first-time home buyers and walking them through the process. I do business wherever you like to go, anywhere in Houston, of course. I've done business in Spring, New Caney, even Baytown. So I am your girl.
She says even Baytown. Like, why would I do that in Baytown? So no disrespect to anybody that lives in Baytown.
No, meaning that I travel. I go all over.
Yeah.
So wherever you want to go, I'm that realtor for you.
Yeah. So Saleta came to me about a year and a half ago or so, a little over a year ago.
Yes.
I don't remember how we met, but
I came to one of your class to Women's Council.
that's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we just started working together, me helping you with your marketing and things like that. Now you're working a lot in the new construction side of the real estate. But tell everybody why you got into real estate in the first place.
Oh, the real story or the fluff story?
The PG story.
Okay, so funny story, because I have a lot of story, but funny story is that my mom a few years ago, she wanted to move to Texas. So we went shopping for her.
From where?
From New York. So
everybody wants to move to Texas from New York.
And side story, she haven't moved yet, but this year's supposed to be the year. But at that moment, we were looking for homes, and I went into Meridiana. It was Meridiana Shea Home, to be exact, and we just fell in love with that builder and that product that they were doing. And the sales lady was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so nice. You should consider it." So months later, 2019, I decided to secretly go get my license because I was really on my mom going to move and I'm going to surprise her and be her realtor. So that's the fun story, is that I became a realtor just so I could be my mom realtor, and she was going to buy a home, and she hasn't bought a home yet, but this year is going to be the year. So I remember going to school, and secretly she would call the kids. I'm like, "Where's your mom?" And they was like, "She's at school." And she's like, "School?" And then I'm like, "Mom, you know these kids." I just told them that because I was out shopping, and I secretly went to Champions.
She believed you?
Because she know I like shopping.
I want to meet your mom.
So for months I kept a secret, and then I finally got my license, and I called her and I'm like, "Mom, I'm a realtor now and I could buy your home." And she was so excited. So that's really the fun fact of how I got into be a realtor for my mom. But then COVID hit. Got my license in the 2019. COVID hit 2020, and I was still working at Chick-fil-A, and I remember one of my coworker was like, "Oh my gosh, Saleta, when you become a realtor, can you buy my mom? Can my mom use him? Can my mom buy a house?" And that was my first. Shout out to Cassie, her mom, Rose, was my first client. My Chick-fil-A parent bought a home with me, and it was a blast. But then it was COVID, so we couldn't really see houses like we wanted. We put in so many offers, and we were getting outbid. It was a roller coaster, but we did it. She's a military. She retired, and I enjoy every moment going out with her. She was my
Yeah,
first.
during COVID, buying a house was a challenge.
Yes.
Prices were inflated, and everybody was buying houses.
Yes.
So
It was difficult for you to win any kind of offer.
mm-hmm.
So that's how fast forward when I became a full-time realtor back in 2022, I retired from Chick-fil-A.
I didn't know you could do that.
Retired after 9 years from Chick-fil-A and said, I'm going to be a full-time realtor. And I remember I called myself playing real estate those past 2 years before me saying I'm retiring, right? So I was like, I was playing real estate. Now I'm going to become realtor and become that expert per se.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when I first got on the journey of being full-time, I started saying, hey, I remember I wouldn't get no offer. I couldn't get my offer accepted, I should say. I couldn't get none of my offer accepted. And I was like, for me to get offers accepted, they have to know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started networking, going. I said, for me to be confident as a realtor, I have to know my stuff. I can't fake it till I make it. That's not me. You could tell. I'm not a faker, right? So I was like, I had to learn how to be a realtor, and knowing about the market, know what it is, and learning the areas, the south side, the southeast side. The way coming from New York, we didn't consider it was either Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island. But here's like, oh, I'm in the south side. Oh, I live in the north side. And I'm like, what? So I had to learn how to really know my area, the zip codes, and what area they consider to be what, So it was a learning experience for me, and I enjoyed it. And I'm still learning. I'm always learning.
But you love being a real estate agent now.
Yes.
You glad you made the decision to do that?
Yes, to be full time.
And you're going to charge your mom double when she decides to finally buy a house. Because you got your license because of her.
Yes.
And we're 2 years later and she's still in New York. Tell her I said hi, by the way.
Later,
4 years later. Makes it even worse.
Yes.
What is the biggest difference between living in New York versus living in Houston,
Ooh.
Texas? This for you, not for realtors, but for Saleta.
Okay, so for Saleta. So for me, it depends on how we look at it, right? So living in New York, I enjoy the fact that I had family. I have all my family, cousin, mom, everybody there, right? Brothers and sisters. Living here, it just means the kiddos. But what makes it good for me is that I've got a relationship with so many people and so many realtors, and I've becoming a realtor full time. I've gone to so many different areas of Houston. When I was a manager at Chick-fil-A, I would just work at Chick-fil-A, stay in Missouri City, go to Pearland. My son was in football, so then the only time I would see other parts is when we do football games and stuff like that. But now, as a realtor, I am traveling all over. So I got to really love Houston, right? And love the fact that there's something to do. And it's such a good community in terms of raising your kids. Like, if you have kiddos, it's good for you to travel. It's good for you to bring your kids. You have soccer, football, whatever sports you want to get them in. That's good on the family aspect of it, right? And then for jobs, we have a lot of jobs here. You can do oil and gas. You have the Tesla. You have so many big companies that's coming here in Houston. So even if you don't have kids and you're single, it's still good for you to move for your job, for family, for whatever it is, whatever reason that you're looking for, it's good for you to come here. Versus New York, I remember living there for 10 years, and I didn't do a lot of stuff because I'm always working. I'm grinding. It's grinding, right? So now that I travel to New York, I act like a tourist and I do all the tourist stuff. And
You
my
wear
friends,
the I Love New York shirt?
Yes, I get the I love New York. We go do all these, and my mom be like, "What?" It's funny story because we were there for Christmas and we went to see the 9/11 memorial. And remind you, I lived in New York when that happened. And I remember where I was when the Twin Tower fell, but I never went until last year when we went for Christmas. So that goes to show that when you're there, you're grinding. And I love New York City. It's good for food. It's good for shopping. And it's really good. But when it comes on to raising your kids, I'm happy that I made the decision of moving here and having, my two little ones born here. My son, funny story, because I always have a story. My oldest is 21.
One today.
And he was born in New York, and he lived here since he was 5. But when you ask him, he said, I'm from New York. And I'm like, boy, you live here longer than you lived in New York. But for him, he repped that I'm New York. I was born in New York, and he's so proud.
He's not a Texan. He's a New Yorker.
Yes.
Well, he'll get over that when he gets old, when he grows older and sees about the money part of it.
Yeah.
So he'll change. Tell everybody what you do to market yourself and everything since you decided you needed to get yourself out there.
So one of my market tactics would be Instagram, Facebook. Always, a lot of people love it when I go do home tours. So I love doing home tours, and I love to show them that, hey, this is, and I remember you telling me, he taught me this one. I was always behind the camera, and Kevin was like, stop being behind the camera. You need to be face forward. They need to see you. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
My face wasn't like that. I was telling her nice.
That's how I interpret it.
Wow.
But now, it's funny you said that, because whenever I make videos doing home tour, and I usually do only the home, but now I'm putting myself in it, and it gets more view because they do want to see you as a realtor. They want a couple things you should know. People want to work with you because they know you, like you, and trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And part of you showing that is you being in the front, and they can see you. They can see your authenticity, right? How genuine you are, how sincere you are. So they want to see that person who they're going to be potentially working with. So definitely that will be something that you should consider doing.
They can't know, like, and trust you if they don't ever see you or hear from you.
Yeah.
And if you're behind the camera, you don't get that accomplished.
Yeah.
So it's and a lot of agents, that's difficult for them because they're like, I'm shy, or I'm scared of the camera. I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. My answer for that is always get over it, because the number one way to market anything today is video.
Yes.
So if you, and it's not me saying that, it's statistics, look it up. So if you're not doing video, you're missing out on using the number one way to get your brand out there. And most agents, when they get over the hump and they start doing the video, like, you know who Sarah Goetz is?
Yes.
Okay. She was terrified. She calls me up one day all hysterical. I'm like, what's wrong? She goes, I did my first video and I don't know what the problem was. This is so fun. I'm like, I told you, So once you just start doing it, you'll eventually, just like riding a bike, you'll eventually figure it out. And, you don't worry about what everybody thinks about what they're seeing in your video.
Yes.
They're not responsible for paying your bills. And usually when people criticize you, it's not because that you're doing a bad job. It's because they're jealous.
Yes.
Bored. That, but my point is do it the way you want to do it, because that's what you want people to get to know you as. Yes. No one likes politicians right now. No one likes, business suit people with ties that every time they see them on the social media, they look exactly the same. Change your outfits, change the environment you're doing the video in. If you have a hobby,
showcase that sometimes.
Showcase the hobby in the video, because what's going to happen is you're going to meet people that contacted you because they also have the same hobby, and now you don't have to sell your service. Yeah. You got something in common.
Yes.
And now you're talking about, they called you to ask them to help you buy a house, but you've been talking about guitars for the last 2 hours. So it's just, it works. Yes. So, and you mentioned networking, and I know you're a social butterfly, so you're like everywhere. What else do you like to do?
Oh,
marketing wise, or maybe something that you want to do in the future, marketing wise, that you're not doing now.
I think one of my marketing that I'm going to try and do next is YouTube. Like how you're doing, not a podcast though. I wouldn't do a podcast, but
Why? What's wrong with a podcast? We're on a podcast right now.
Yeah, but I feel like that eventually I get there. I would never say never. I'm not a person that say never, but I want to start off with doing more videos for YouTube and kind of branding that platform, because I haven't tapped into that one yet. So that's on my to-do list.
Create your company name, create your logo, create your slogan, and then put that everywhere with your face.
With my face.
And people will start to recognize that that's Saleta Patterson. I mean, think about it. Name one company that does not have a logo, slogan, or a company name.
It's funny you say
Zero
that, because I was just talking to a friend of mine that I wanted to do that with my open house, to start making branding open house sign with my face. Mm-hmm. So, yes.
It's coming. Open house signs with her face on it. Don't know if that's good or bad, but we're going to see them.
It's going to be good, guys. It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. So you specialize in new builds and everything, but will you help people that want to buy a resale house or sell?
Yes.
Okay.
I've worked with resellers. I've worked with investors. I love investors.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And what about, will you help people lease a property?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do leasers turn into?
Eventually they're going to buy, or eventually they're going to sell.
And
Most
what do
definitely.
buyers turn into? Sellers. And when they sell their house, what do they need? Another house to live in.
There we go.
There's 4 transactions with
In
one
one.
person. So, and the same thing's to be said with the real estate investor.
Yes.
A good real estate investor gets a hold of you and says, help me find my next investment property. That's one transaction. Then they want you to rent it for them because they're going to buy and hold. There's another transaction. And then they decide to sell it 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road when they get equity. There's another transaction. And then they want to replace. Now you got 4 transactions with one person in one deal.
One deal.
So there's a lot to be said for people or agents that don't want to work with renters. I know that most new agents in the beginning of your career, you're basically taking any lead you can get. Don't pass up the renters because renters can be gold mines later. Tell everybody, as we wrap up the podcast, tell everybody something about Saleta Patterson that you would like them to know if they're looking for real estate.
Oh, wow. I think they've known a lot, but just in case you
One
miss
more.
anything.
There's one more.
Hi, my name is Saleta Patterson. If you're looking for a realtor that's going to make sure that you have the best experience, that is me. I'm all about making sure that I take you from point A to point B and always hold your hand. I am that one that's going to hold your hand. Now, if you don't need somebody to hold your hand, I won't hold your hand. But if you are looking for someone that's going to guide you, I am here for you. I do work with an awesome title company. So if you're looking to sell, I have the title company that's ready for you. I've also worked with a couple of blenders that if you need anything, they're going to be there to definitely guide you through the process from how to start getting your loan, how the process going while you having your loan, and closing, they'll show up to be there for you. I have all the people you need. I have inspectors. So if you know, when you're buying a property, you do need to have an inspector.
We got one coming up.
Yeah. There you go. So whatever you need, I have a team, literally a team behind me, and I'm always here to support you. And if I don't know the answer, I have someone that definitely will give you that answer. So I would love to gain your trust. I would love to work with you, and call me. My phone number is 832-427-2825. And if you need to email me, it's saleta.patterson@yahoo.com.
Remember, guys, that's important. She's got a team behind her that she helps her with her business, and not a lot of agents have that. So she can help you with any aspect of the buying or selling transaction, leasing transaction, or investing transaction. Give him your phone number one more time.
832-427-2825.
Saleta Patterson, guys. She's been on the podcast before. She'll be on it again later. So look for her out there. She is an upcoming real estate agent, and we love working with her here at Stewart Title.
And that's actually my direct number.
There you go.
I usually give out the Google number.
No spooky people, okay? Just business only.
Yes.
Awesome. We'll be right back with segment number 2 of episode number 43 with Jonanthan Lang from Texas Real Estate Inspection Services. And I hope I got that right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. This is Kevin, and we're back with episode number 43, segment number 2 of Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective. And I have with me Mr. Jonanthan Lang from Texas Real Estate Inspection Services Company. Say hi, everybody.
Howdy. How are we doing, folks?
Howdy. He's not from the country. So Jonanthan is one of my preferred vendor partners. He works with me on a lot of my events, my CE classes. He is a key sponsor, and he is 50% of the inspection companies that I refer agents to.
We appreciate that.
Yes, sir. I have to be politically correct. That's just the way it is. So,
That's all right.
Everybody's
got to make a living.
People watching me. So, Jonanthan, tell everybody who you are and what your company does.
Well, Jonanthan Lang, Texas Real Estate Inspection Services, as the name implies. We are inspectors. We're a multi-inspector firm. I have 2 other inspectors that work for me, directly representing Texas Real Estate Inspection Services. And We inspect all over Harris, the 5 surrounding counties. If you're willing to pay me to drive to San Antonio, Austin, or Dallas, I will drive up there and do an inspection for you.
Nice.
And but you know, it is going to cost some money to get that done. But,
Yeah, gas is
some people
going up
want
again.
that to happen.
I don't know
So
if you
yeah,
noticed.
I have driven to Brenham. I've driven to San Antonio. Driven to Austin, because clients that we helped here to purchase a home are transferring there, something like that, and they don't want anybody else to do it but me.
That's good. Client loyalty. Love
It
that
is.
kind of thing.
It's a good thing.
So for the people that are watching this that may or may not know exactly what that means, that you inspect homes, go into just a few seconds of detail.
Sure.
Inspecting homes, what does that mean?
Well, under the Texas Real Estate Commission, a home inspection is a visual, non-invasive process to determine where defects reside within the structure, the age of equipment, is equipment functioning properly, things like this. And so it's our job to go through system by system, whether that's structural, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, appliance systems. Those are the 5 main ones. And then there are optional things like, you know, whole house generators, septic systems, things of this nature that we go through, we touch it, we run it, we make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do, and then we write it up if it's not.
And what is the reason why someone would call you to do an inspection on their house?
Well, a house is the largest single investment most people will make in their lives,
Right.
especially today. And so especially with the price of houses out there right now, people want to know what they're buying. Most people have no idea. I have a background in construction, family background, all of that kind of stuff. So I've got a little bit more knowledge than most everybody else would have. And they need to employ somebody like us to go in there, pick it apart, tell them what they need to be aware of, what they need to look out for, and you know, whether they're making a good investment.
And you do this typically in the middle of or during a real estate transaction.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
someone's selling a house or buying a house, that's when they typically would need an inspector.
Selling a house, buying a house, building a house, things like that. We do all of that.
You mentioned building a house. So tell everybody why it's important to have a brand new house inspected.
Sure.
One that's never been lived in and was just completed 5 minutes ago. Why? Because people ask me all the time, why do I have to get a new build inspected? It's a brand new house. Everything should be working great.
Certainly.
Why? So why?
Well, and what we recommend is get it inspected from day one. So when we're starting that build, they have just set the forms for the foundation. You want an inspector who knows what he's doing to come in there and take a look at what the engineer's intent was for that structure, and number 2, is the contractor, the makeup crew, whatever we're calling them today, are they adhering to that intent? If they're not, if beams aren't deep enough, say the soil composition of the area where this house is being built has been tested by a geotechnical firm, and they've determined that it's got, 2,500 pounds of compressive strength to it. So the engineer designs that structure for that specific compressive strength. And, beams 10 inches wide, 24 inches deep, need to have, tendons at this spacing minimum, need to have rebar in these areas. So we go through and check all of that and make sure that the contractor ticked all the boxes. If he didn't, we're going to call him out on it, and they're going to have to come back and redo it.
Do the contractors get upset with you guys?
They don't like to see us coming,
No? Yeah.
But that's not my
Right.
thing. I work for the buyer. I work for the person who is laying their money down to buy that house. And yeah, that's what we do. And we do it all the time. I've just got a text message from a buyer who is building I forget who the builder was now, but anyway, up in the Cypress area, and we did a pre-pour inspection for him, and now we're going to do the pre-drywall, and then we will do the final when everything is complete.
So do you recommend just like a beginning, middle, and end kind of inspection? I mean, that's pretty much
Those
all
are the
you-
typical three.
Okay.
You know, I've had clients where, like, I've got a friend of mine who's building a house over in the Long Point area, and they wanted me to be there to observe the placement of concrete. So I'll go there, I'll stand there, I will document what truck poured out where, how much water they had in the mix, how much water they added to the mix, what the compressive strength of the mix is supposed to be, all of that stuff, and we'll document it all. So if there's a problem in that area, then the homeowner can go back to that documentation and say, oh, this truck had this problem poured out in that area, and that's why we've got this issue.
What does compressive strength mean?
Well, concrete typically for your standard residential construction is going to be around 3,000 PSI. So it's the pounds per square inch that it can support when it's cured.
Oh, wow. Okay. So kind of like why when you pour a new driveway, it's got to be at least, I think, 4 inches thick. Otherwise, it will be able to
Rebar
withstand.
in specific distances, things like that.
Okay. Otherwise, the vehicles will crush it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. And you mentioned earlier that you operate basically all over the city of Houston, surrounding counties, and you'll go out of here in this area if you want. Are you licensed to do anything else?
Sure. Yeah, I do. There's no license requirement for it, but I do pool inspections.
Okay.
So that's a part of our package. We are licensed under the Texas Department of Agriculture to do wood destroying insect inspections. So I actually have a commercial applicator's
Termites?
license. Say again?
Termites?
Termites, powder post beetles, carpenter ants, carpenter bees, things like that. So
Gotta go home and check my house.
So yeah, it's my goal in starting my company was that people have always said you're like Cliff Clavin, you know everything, and so my goal was to.
If you're not old enough, that's from
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Best show ever.
Right. So our goal has been able to provide bumper to bumper service for our client. So we do wood destroying insects, we do pools, we do home inspections. I'm a licensed mold assessment consultant.
That's important here in our climate.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have been doing that for 18 years now.
Really?
We offer everything. I've had clients that want the full boat on a house. They want to be, it's got a pool. They need to have that inspected. I think it's got mold in it, so I need you to test for mold. Everything else, soup to nuts, we cover it.
And how do you, not that you can go into your pricing structure or anything, but how do you charge for services like this?
It's usually your typical most everything is going to be based on the square footage,
Size of the house.
except for pools, things like that. We don't base that on square footage. That's just a flat rate for that.
Okay.
For wood
No
destroying
matter
insects,
how big the pool is?
the pool's only so big. I mean, if we're talking an Olympic-sized pool, then maybe we need to have a conversation. But if it's in that size of a house anyway, I'm probably already charging enough for the rest of it.
Right.
We're not going to have to worry about it. So.
If NASA calls, you're going to be going cha-ching.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah. So there's pools are, if it is a large house, in a high-end neighborhood, then they're going to have grottos, they're going to have things like that. So there may be an additional fee for that, but for the most part, it's going to be a flat fee. Same thing with wood destroying insects. It's some of it's based on the size of the house, because time is money. The more time I've got to spend, it's going to cost me to be there, so I need to be reimbursed.
Right.
We're going to base most everything is based on the size of something. But.
And you work with real estate agents and brokers, title companies.
Right.
Can just normal Joe Blow off the street call you and hire you too?
We have a website.
Okay.
TexasRealEstateInspections.com, and they can go there and fill out the contact form, and I will call them and we will set up whatever they need to have done.
Okay. All right. What are some of the things that you do to market your business and to promote your services?
Sure, we do. Obviously, the website. That's always, used to. That was the one thing that you had to do was your website. So I've got that. I do. I belong to networking groups. Jersey Village Professional Networking Group up in Jersey Village. A friend of mine runs it. It's a non-classified type of networking group, so you can have multiple inspectors in there, things like this. It's not not single use thing.
It's not like a
It's an open forum.
Yeah. What's the other one?
B&I.
B&I. It's not like B&I.
I belong to B&I as well.
Yeah.
Been in B&I, the Sci-Fair Business Partners chapter, for 18 years.
Really?
And yeah. And
what about the chamber or anything like that?
Chamber, I belong to the Sci-Fair Chamber of Commerce, things like that. And we do, the constant contact, all that kind of stuff, the direct mail marketing,
CRM
that kind of thing.
and drip campaigns.
Yep.
And then you work a lot with real estate agents and
work a lot with real estate
supporting and sponsoring CE classes and events and things.
And that's part of the benefit of having done this for 19 years. When I was just starting out, it was a lot more important to get out there and press flesh and, do the song and dance and all that stuff. As we have built the business and become well known in the community, that's not it. While it's still very important, it's not at the top of the list.
It's not an issue
longer.
anymore. It's not a top priority.
We have a lot of
See,
referrals.
Saleta, when you build your brand and your company name, this is what happens.
Right.
She's like, okay, Kevin, put me on the calendar. I will do this. Okay. But that's very, very admirable and congratulations on being around for that long.
Thanks.
I don't know too many other companies that have been around that long in the real estate industry. And, it's in 18 years, you've probably seen a lot.
Yeah. There have been a lot of people that have tried to make me stop doing this. But
Really?
but they haven't succeeded. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen a lot. 19 years, there's been a lot of interesting markets. This one that we're currently in probably has to be one of the most interesting. I've had more buyers call me up lately that the seller has backed out of the deal.
Yeah.
Which never happens.
Yeah, because they're trying to sell their house. Yeah.
Who's going to back out of this selling your house? But it's happening. So it's a very interesting market right now.
Yeah, we've late November, December, January. We were all looking around, going,
Yeah.
"What we got to look for another job?"
Right.
And then all of a sudden, late January, February, and now March, we're blowing and going right now. We're busy.
It's crazy.
It's just it's not up and down. It's either up or down. There's no in between.
There's no in between. There's no level.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how in November you guys were feeling it.
Yeah.
We felt it in August. And when those rates first ticked up, it just died.
People stopped by.
It was like, and then all of a sudden everybody figured out, well, even though they're high, I've still got to buy a house. So, let's go ahead and bite the bullet and get this thing done, and we'll refi later on.
Yeah, marry the house. What do they say? Marry to the house and date the rate.
Right.
Is that what they say?
Exactly.
Because you can get into the home of your dreams and refinance later.
Yeah.
Which I've done a couple of times on my house. So, but it's important. So tell everybody what your website address is.
Texas Real Estate Inspections. Now you're going to give me TexasRealEstateInspections.com.
I didn't know, and he doesn't know either. Say that again.
TexasRealEstateInspections.com.
Okay, TexasRealEstateInspections.com.
Yep.
What is one thing about your business that anybody that might need inspection services needs to know about you and your services?
Well, I think the biggest thing is experience. Myself and my entire team, minimum on the team has 4 years of experience. Me with my 19 years, and we can cover anything that's needed. I don't care how big a house it is. I did a 13,000 square foot house not too long ago.
Wow.
Did a did a 937 square foot house, which should have taken about an hour and a half to finish the inspection. It took my guy 3.5 hours to finish it because it was that
Problems,
bad.
really? Yeah.
It was, yeah. There was a lot going on in that little bitty house.
And do you provide how quickly do you provide the report, and how does a client get the report?
Okay. Well, we use a software called Home Gauge, and I've been using it for 18 years now. Mm-hmm. And everything is done via email. There's a web portal that the client will get a login ID and password for, and I send them an email, says your report is ready to be viewed, and they go in there and it's there, and it'll be there for, I believe it stays on that server for 5 years. So
Okay.
if they sell the house in 3 years, they need to disclose the fact that they had it inspected back, today. Then they can go back to that and pull their original report down, attach it to their.
If it's over 5 years, do you still have access to get the reports?
I have.
Do you have
all
hard
the
copies and everything on your?
I
Okay.
have all the hard data on my. Hard
And then,
drives.
if you said it, I apologize. But how quickly after the inspection is
Oh.
completed do they get it?
No problem. That was we typically have the report out that same night.
Okay, awesome. So there's no waiting. So
Yeah.
if you're in a hurry, not a problem at all.
No.
Are you on social media?
We're on social media. We have an Instagram account, a Facebook account, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm not the. I could do better.
Hey,
So,
as
you
long as
know.
you're being honest.
I'm not the social media butterfly that everybody else is. I actually need to find somebody I can pay to do that. So
You don't. If you're looking for a job, you don't post 3 times a day every day, do you?
No, I don't. Unfortunately,
Shame on you.
When I'm in an attic and my hands are in a service panel or something like that, I don't have time to post.
If it was me and I was in the attic in a service panel, I'd be like, "This is cool. Check it out where I'm at today." Boom,
Yeah.
post. Okay, now get back to work.
Yeah,
That's
I
just the way I
have
think.
found things that I have to take a picture of because no one will believe that was here.
That's another podcast.
It's another podcast, but yeah.
So, website, social media. Tell them how to get hold of you.
Our website, TexasRealEstateInspections.com, is one way to do it. 281-300-9276 is the main number.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can be reached at inspector@TexasInspections.net.
Okay.
And,
Awesome. So if you guys are real estate agents or you're seeing this podcast and you're about ready to buy or sell a house and you need an inspection company, Jonathan can help you out. Texas Real Estate Inspection Services, they're great guys. Anybody and everybody that I've ever referred to them have come back with nothing but good things to say. So you're making clients happy, you're making agents happy, and you're getting the inspection services done on time and the right way. So
Sure.
You're an asset to the real estate community, and thank you for 19 years of service.
It's been my pleasure.
In the inspection
It's been
services,
fun.
not in the military. Give me your phone number one more time.
281-300-9276.
All right, guys, this is Jonathan Lang from Texas Real Estate Inspection Services. That was Saleta Patterson from Walzel Properties. Appreciate you guys tuning in to episode number 43. Again, if you watch this podcast and you're a real estate agent or a vendor that operates in Fort Bend County and you'd like to be on the podcast, give me a call, 832-654-0527. Or you can email me at kevin.davidson@stewart.com, and I'll put you on the calendar. And I always have to thank my staff and team, Jennifer Smitis, the area vice president, Caitlin Cornick, Devin, Wendy Santana, Adriana Ozalte, and the support staff at each one of my offices. And again, if you're not using Stewart Title for title, shame on you. This has been episode number 43 of Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective. We'll see you guys next week.
See
Bye-bye.
ya.